Buddy, we're going to start here in just a minute. We'll wait to let a few more folks in, but glad to have you with us. If you would like to share your name and organization in the chat to let people know you're here, we'd love to have you. And if there's any, if you have any information or anything you want to share with the group, please feel free to do that as well. We're going to start here in just another minute or two.
Hey, good afternoon. What's going, Dean?
Hey, how are you, Jim? Good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
We are just getting ready to get started. If you want to put your name in the chat, we're going to start here in just a second.
Okay.
David, if you want to go ahead and start, I think we're all good.
Great. Well, I will be happy to do that. Dean and the 10 at the top team, thank you guys for continuing to host these TATT chats and to keep us all convened and connected at this crazy time. Typically, you have Terrence Roberts, Mayor of Anderson, as your 10 at the top chairman host these events. And so as vice chairman, I'm going to do that today since Terrence is unavailable. I'm David Field. I'm with Colliers International. We're a commercial real estate firm. And it is my pleasure today to introduce to you Jeff Brown of the Greenville Drive. Many of you, most of you know Jeff through his role with 10 at the top as a board member. And then I'm going to guess that everyone is familiar with the Greenville Drive and that everyone recognizes the impact that the Greenville Drive has on not just Greenville, which is in its namesake, but the entire upstate area. So whether you're in the business community, the educational world, nonprofits, churches, we've all benefited from the philanthropy, the commitment to the upstate community that Jeff and his team at the Greenville Drive have shared with all of us. And so we've all been impacted negatively by COVID. Probably a big understatement, but while I'm in the category of understatements, I'm guessing that, you know, when your primary, I'm going to assume this is what I think your primary offering, Jeff, is to the community is team sports and then hosting events. And COVID has not looked kindly on either of those two offerings. So
it is. We're trying to expand our offerings as much as we can every day at the current moment.
I bet. Well, yeah. We're really grateful to hear, you know, when you guys were planning your takeover of the South Atlantic League like you did in 2017 and bringing home the trophy again. I'm pretty sure no one underwrote pandemic into the plan. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on in your world, Jeff.
Yeah, no, first let me start with just thanking Dean and Sharon and Terrence and just for giving me us the opportunity to talk with you guys today. I mean, you know, it's just a once in a lifetime, I'm calling it, kind of scenario for all of us, specifically for our business, to drive business. It's extremely unique circumstances that and to explain just kind of how unique and how our business model is kind of more impacted than most. Kind of anytime I have an opportunity to talk with folks and explain that in a little more detail, I jump at it just because, you know, the community of the whole upstate has been, you know, so unbelievably supportive of the drive since its inception back in 2006. And I know how disappointed really everyone has been. So to explain our situation, but then also our appreciation as to how everyone has been kind of wrapped their arms around us over the last few months as our season has ultimately been canceled, and offered to help, offered to figure out a way to keep us going forward. It's been so extremely heartening, and honestly, it's kind of what's keeping us going right now during what is a situation none of us ever really thought we'd be going through. So that's a lot easier to explain kind of in words than it is in emails and the like. So anytime I can kind of jump on a call and talk that through with folks, I jump at it. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys today. But I'll be pretty quick as I run through it. As I've been talking to people, the easiest way to explain our situation is to kind of go through a timeline of the last really 10 months or so, because I think it brings to life the situation in the most clear way possible. And then I'm sure there's a bunch of questions, so I'd love to field some of those questions and clarify as much as I can for everybody. But this was this season, this was supposed to be our 15th anniversary season in Greenville. Our first year was out on Malden Road in 2005, and then our first year at West End Field was in 2006, and then the first year as Floor Field was in 2008. So it's been a pretty unbelievable journey over 15 years. I've been here for 5 of them, but my family's obviously been here for the whole time. So to see 15 years of impact, of community involvement, of partner involvement, of family fun, of entertainment. I mean, there's so many stories over that 15-year period, and we were really excited to through our season, through our games, through our community events, through our partners to tell all those stories during this drive season. So when COVID first hit, kind of in that early March timeframe, and our season was initially delayed, and then ultimately, as of a few weeks ago, the entire minor league baseball season was canceled. It was devastating on a different level for us personally, just because one, there's the economic challenges that we're all going through, and then us more so than others. But then there's just the missed opportunity this year to tell the anniversary stories that next year we're going to do it again. We're going to have a 15th anniversary season this year or in 2021. But we were so excited to do that this year, and we're just not going to have that opportunity. But to explain kind of I think most people understand why our business model is unique. We host obviously drive games, 70 drive games a year at Floor Field from March, or really early April through Labor Day, and then we also host events, and we host amateur baseball games, and the amateur games and the events are becoming more and more common each year, and we're becoming more of a year-round model. But really, it's the 6 months of drive baseball that fund our operating model on a year-round basis, and it's traffic through the stadium. It's foot traffic in the stadium that allows our business to go. So when first college sports were canceled, and then next the drive season was canceled, and then now most recently our largest events are all scaling back and canceling. I mean, that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on our business model, because right now we're a very large multi-million-dollar restaurant that's got no customers, is kind of the analogy that I use most often. And to be a business, a local business that's 100% dependent on foot traffic, we have no ability to ramp up or ramp down our model. It's an on and off model, and right now we're off. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge for us. Drive baseball will be back, and I mean, honestly, there's not a guarantee for the 2021 season. When you look at the pace of COVID and the uncertainty surrounding the virus, I'd like to say we're 100% confident that next season will happen, but that the reality is we're not at this point. So it's a very uncertain, kind of unsettling time for us at the moment, with a lot of stress on the model, just because there's nobody coming into the stadium because they can't at the moment. So that's why everyone is obviously going through the impacts of COVID, but the impact on our business model specifically is more than most, just because of that on-off component. And we have we're slowly starting to host smaller scale events and the like, but and that helps somewhat, but in no way does it replace kind of what we had originally planned. So it really is kind of a kind of survival mode at the moment, and in hopes that things get back to normal as soon as possible, and the next season gets, confirmed and back to normal as soon as we can. So I think that's hopefully just kind of using the opportunity to make sure that that's kind of clearly understood by everybody, because it's a challenge for us for sure. I mean, at the same time, I think our organization and, my team specifically has done really an unbelievable job, though, even in the face of those challenges, really trying to, we've affectionately referred to ourselves and our platform as the front porch of Greenville and the upstate for 15 years. And, the front porch is a place where, people can gather, they can celebrate, they can commiserate, they can recognize. And if that's the kind of the positioning that we've established in the community over time, we love that positioning. So how can we be that to the community now when we don't have baseball games and the like? And I think we've done a really, really solid job over the last 3 to 4 months with ways to give back, to partner with the United Way's COVID Relief Fund, to partner with Harvest Hope to get food distributed to low-income communities. We've hosted a couple of high school graduations that wouldn't have otherwise been able to have their graduation events. We've done PPE pickups with Blue Cross's dental program to get PPE equipment to frontline healthcare heroes. So we've been really creative and resourceful in trying to utilize our platform in the most impactful way possible, even in the face of really challenging circumstances for us all. So that's probably what I'm most proud of our team right now. I mean, we're not resting on, we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. We're embracing the situation for what it is, and we're kind of leaning forward and trying to continue to be a cog for good in the community in whatever way we can. And then kind of the last piece that I'll say is, I said it at the beginning, but 15 years is a long time to be here, and we've developed a lot of strong relationships, partnerships, community, with the community and with companies and with individuals. And a lot of people, so many people have asked us over the last few months, how can they help? How can they, make sure that there's baseball next year, and the like, and that the drive kind of stays afloat. And, I can assure you that, our operating model right now is focused on the long term. We're not going anywhere. We're, focused on staying the course and giving back in whatever way we can. The level of support that we've gotten from everyone in the community has been, honestly, it's been humbling for everyone in the organization, for my family, for just everyone involved with the drive, to see the stories and the impact over time, and to see the people that are willing to help out in whatever way possible to keep us going has been, it'll motivate us for years to come. So while I explain this, I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody, because a lot of our partner companies are represented on this board, and it's been a extremely challenging time, but then at the same time an extremely motivating time for us, if that makes sense, as we set the stage for the future. So that's about 7 months in 7 minutes. So I'm sure there's a ton of questions from everyone. We also had to deal with, I'm sure there's questions about back before COVID. There was a bunch of stories in the press about contraction and the elimination of a lot of minor league teams across the country. And I can assure you all that the drive aren't going anywhere. I mean, that conversation is more political than anything. And there will be, there's 159 other Greenville drives across the country, 160 total teams in minor league baseball. Not all of them have facilities like Fluor Field or towns like Greenville or the upstate. Some of them are pretty tough. So that's about player wellness. That's about travel times. And there will be some elimination of teams and reorganizing of leagues and the like, but the drive we're not going anywhere. Our relationship with the Red Sox is kind of the model for all of minor league baseball. So there might be some shuffling within our league, but there'll be minor league baseball in Greenville for years to come. So.
Excellent. I say excellent that to your last comment, not necessarily excellent to everything you shared before, Jeff. None of us here in our respective organizations are having a fun run of things the last few months. And so, I'm curious. A lot of people in this call have had to make tough decisions. What kind of challenges, that have bubbled up in the form of, have you guys been able to take advantage of some of the PPP? Are you guys of the size? Do you guys qualify for that kind of opportunity to help support some of your staff? Any reductions in force? What have you guys been up against at that level?
Yeah, no, I mean, our yes is the short answer to the PPP question, which has been helpful, obviously, for us from a staffing perspective. I mean, minor league baseball, probably entertainment in general, just as a general philosophy, it's not the best in terms of nurturing and keeping and retaining staff. It kind of brings people in, and it's long hours, and it's long schedules, and it's hard work, and you don't get to pay people very much. You roll through people, kind of just the industry is known for that. We've been really intentional, or tried to be really intentional over time, to take care of our people as best we can, to create positions and situations that people can spend years in versus one season. And so that PPP, I mean, we were one of the last organizations to make any kind of staffing change. We did have to go through a round of furloughs about a month ago to 3 weeks ago, with the intention of bringing everyone back when we have a confirmed 2021 season. But we did have to make some adjustments there, just the nature of our model. I mean, we literally have zero revenue right now. When you think about, there's no foot traffic at the stadium. That's what I say about, there's no ability for us to ramp up slowly when things start to improve with the virus. I mean, we're off. I mean, you can offset some of that with smaller scale events or the like, but honestly, right now with the infection rate, what it is, we're not comfortable hosting any large scale events at the ballpark. So it's kind of a double whammy on us right now that we hope smooths out at some point, so we can slowly start hosting some meaningful events, and then really smooths out once our 2021 schedule is confirmed. But it's a challenge right now.
There's a great question in the chat area that talks about, first of all, mentions that how much you guys are missed, and summer baseball is missed here in Greenville. The question is about your players and the player roster. Are they retained intact? Walk us through what that looks like from a player's perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the other arm of this that I think people understand, but we don't control the players at all. I mean, we control our relationship with the Red Sox and our affiliation agreement with the Red Sox, but in terms of player salaries, player decisions, major league schedules and the like, I mean, that's all Red Sox controlled. I mean, our job as the Drive is to make sure the experience of the players when they get here in Greenville is the best experience possible. And we're in minor league baseball. And so we're an entertainment property. We don't have any control over the personnel or the staffing and the like. I mean, I know the model that's been different this year is, there'll be a 40-man kind of roster on the Red Sox, on the Red Sox roster when their season starts next week on the 23rd and 24th. And then what they're doing is they're keeping an extra traveling squad of 30 to 40 players back in Pawtucket in Rhode Island in case someone on the current roster gets hurt or gets COVID or something, and they have to make a personnel change kind of quickly. So that 30-man roster in Pawtucket is what normally would be in the minor leagues right now, but it's just being housed as a traveling squad to replace the major league squad if something were to happen to the players. So that means that that those 160 players that normally would be spread out against the minor league roster, it's down to it's 40. So not all of them have made the team this year, so to speak. So there's a lot of guys that are trying to latch on to any kind of like independent league or some kind of other option besides minor league baseball this summer, because it's been hard on the players specifically.
I'll encourage anyone, type a question in the chat box if you've got something you want to ask Jeff. We want to go take the mute off and let someone throw it out there. We can certainly do that before we let Jeff go and move to the next category of our agenda.
David, I have a question for Jeff. Jeff, obviously the major league level, they are going to start play and have no fans in the stands. Was there ever a discussion about doing the same thing at the minor league level? I mean, I think the difference being, as you described, y'all don't have television revenue. Your only real revenue is generated from people in the stands. So it wouldn't seem that it would be as practical in the minor league system. But was there some discussion about having minor league games in empty stadiums so that these other players, the younger players, would continue to be developed?
Yeah, I mean you hit on it, Dean, why that model doesn't work in the minor leagues. I mean, it works, the format in the major leagues side of things that they're starting next week, where they're starting the 60-game season. It works because of TV, and that's why the owners of those teams are willing to put on the games and incur the cost of the game and the player salary side of things, because there's the revenue that comes from TV. I mean, our model, we happen to play baseball obviously at the stadium, but it's a gathering model. It relies on people coming to the stadium, butts and seats, not just tickets, but then food and merchandise and the whole thing. So when you take that away, it's not a sustainable model for the 160 teams, clubs across the country. I mean, the other piece of it too, you've got 30 teams, 30 cities that you saw that. I mean, Major League Baseball so royally messed up their negotiation from a PR standpoint in terms of getting what's starting next week kind of under control.
Well, Jeff is frozen up. There we go.
I think
Back.
Commissioner
We're good.
Manfred.
Where did I leave off?
Manfred might have frozen you when you were talking bad about the negotiations.
Yeah, well, all I was saying was, if you saw the kind of the PR, I'll call it challenges, I'll do it in a positive way, that the major league guys had with coming to agreement on what's going to start next week. And that's 30 cities that they're trying to come up with health and safety protocols for. I mean, try to do that with 160 cities, 50 states. I mean, it wasn't feasible. So,
Sure.
There was talk about, I mean, and it still could happen where they, maybe, I mean, Eric, our GM, had such good relationships with a lot of the former players and the guys. A lot of them are local they played at Clemson, they played at South Carolina, they played at Wofford or Furman. And a lot of them during that limbo period were looking for something to do. So we had, 30 guys here a day, 25, 30 guys here a day for the last couple months training and the like. So there was a lot of baseball activity at the park. There just happened to be no fans.
Another thing, you touched on it briefly, but I want to expand on it a little bit. Y'all have done a marvelous job with continuing to be relevant through social media and other things. I know you hosted some virtual graduation parties and other things that you guys have done. What are some of the plans that you have now with your team over the next couple months to continue to be relevant? I loved also the shirt that you had for sale that said, celebrate the undefeated 2020 season. I thought that was
yeah, I mean, that's the idea, and it's kind of like every day we sit down as a team, and we've got a pretty lean team right now. So there's only about 10 or 11 of us that, you sit down, you try to, it's kind of like, how can you stay relevant today, or how can you come up with something to make sure that the drive in baseball, even without a season, stays top of mind or in people's, hearts and minds. I mean, that undefeated shirt was an interesting idea that one of our apparel partners brought to us that we loved it. And again, just trying to bring a sense of humor to a really challenging situation, as we thought was a good, good thing to do. I mean, we're working with a handful of our partners right now on getting people to wear masks and to kind of be responsible as they go out into the community, because we want people to be safe and healthy, but also that's a little bit whatever the word is, selfish, because we need things to get back to normal as soon as possible, because that's good for us and back to baseball and the like. So we've done a handful of things in that regard. It's really just kind of surveying what we think can help the community the most, and then looking at our platform and whether it's online, our digital channels, or smaller scale events, how can we be a kind of a force for good right now?
Jeff, there is a question Sharon had about, and you probably know, today is Shoeless Joe Jackson's birthday. He was born in 1887 on this date. And Sharon has a question about the museum. That's a totally separate operation from you all, correct?
Yeah, so that's owned by it's owned by a family. There's a board that still includes Joe's kind of ancestors and relatives that influences decision making, but it's owned by and operated by a family. And then actually that museum, which is right on the Field Street side of our stadium, that was Joe's house as a child. So it's turned into the museum now, and it's actually moving as a part of I don't know if anyone's driven by the stadium recently, but there's a rather large building that came down on the Field Street side. The old Berkshire Hathaway building just came down because that's a new multifamily development that's going up, and we're actually found ourselves attached to that project now, because we're going to turn Field Street kind of into a Yawkey Way, if you are familiar with Boston, type of walking plaza. That's going to be amazing for events and outdoor live entertainment, and food trucks, and kind of game night type of things. But the museum, as part of that project, is going to move to the top of the street, kind of the corner of Vardry, Markley, and Field Street, if you can visualize that, with a totally new look and renovation. So that's going to be really nice too.
That's awesome. That's an exciting, I'm so glad I didn't know that. Obviously I'd seen the blue building. That's how I refer to it. I saw that came down, but I'm so excited to hear about that pedestrian oriented conversion of Field Street to food trucks. And that's just really exciting. Good for Greenville.
Yeah, I think it'll be really neat. I mean, we're hoping not sure we needed another multifamily development. So once we heard that was going up, we kind of tried to plug ourselves in to figure out how we could add something extra to it. So
I like that. I like that. Well, I want to thank you, Jeff. Our heart goes out to you. We know you guys are struggling, and the binary nature of your business that's tough. That's real tough. And so our thoughts go out to you. I want to reiterate what I said at the beginning. You know, the Greenville Drive's commitment to the region in the form of philanthropy. I mean, unless you're just brand new to the area, I can't imagine there's anyone on this call that hasn't been touched in some way. You know, whether it's been to the event, a Thirsty Thursday or a Fireworks Friday, or hosting an event at your meeting space, being touched by a church group, or you know, any other than the nonprofits that you guys support just so often and so consistently. So thanks for that. Thanks for your role at 10 at the Top and your support of this group. And you know, I'll thank you and wish you the best, like we do with each of us that come on this. I will close out your part and make sure everyone notes. Sharon posted it in the chat space, but take a moment and go read his Jeff's guest column, his contribution to the 10 at the Top newsletter. Down but definitely not out is the title of that. That's well written, and we appreciate that as well, Jeff.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Dean.
All right. So, David, you gonna let me have it for a minute now?
Yeah, I was. I actually I don't have my agenda pulled up, and I'm not competent enough to know what's next. But I believe it's you next. So I hope that's right.
It is. Thank you. And we're going to do a couple of things. First, we wanted to have a little bit of fun. We have a poll that I'm going to put up here. You know, we're all wearing masks, or at least we need to be when we're outside and stuff. So we wanted to kind of know your, you know, what is your style for masks? And so I'm going to launch this poll. The first question is, tell us about your mask style. Is it a disposable mask? Do you wear them and then throw them away? Did someone make you a special mask? My wife has made over 100 masks for people in our community and different folks. She's on the sewing machine all the time. Or did you buy a cool one? Does someone have a Clemson or a Carolina, or in David's case, a Georgia Bulldog or a Furman Paladin one. So that's the first question. And then the second question is specifically to the face mask. Is yours plain, is it colorful, or is it branded? So take a second, and you should see those questions now. And let's take a second and see where we are on the mask. We decided not to ask the question of, do you wear a mask? Because we didn't want to have to ostracize anybody who answered no on that one. Good, we're coming in. I think only a couple more folks could answer. So I think we're pretty good. We'll give it a countdown from 10. If you haven't responded yet, you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So the first one, wow, 11 people, more people, 44% have bought a really cool one. So that is cool. And then the second question is, your style, is it plain, colorful, or branded? It looks like plain and colorful are even, and branded is a little bit trailing behind. So it looks pretty cool. We've got some people who have had someone make one for them, and then a bunch of people have bought cool design ones. Justine has one with a bunch of colors here. So just wanted to have a little bit of fun in a minute there. With that, a couple announcements from our end. The first one is the next TATT chat will be coming up on the 30th of July. We have Sarah Hazard, who is the CEO of the South Carolina Manufacturers Association. So we're excited to hear from her about what's going on around manufacturing at the state level. So we'll be sending that out to everyone again at the same time on the 30th. And Justine beat me to it. She put up our slide with today's agenda, and I wanted to, as part of that, thank our leadership level partners and all of our funding partners who support 10 at the Top. I've said this before, but we've been very fortunate during this time that our finances and funding has been very strong this year from our partners. So we have been able to be focused more on how we can be supportive here in the upstate, and react to some of the challenges happening around COVID, instead of spending all of our time focused on survival of the organization, and that's because of our funding partners. So I did want to take the time to thank all of you for that. I am now going to turn it over to Aaron Oots, who coordinates the entrepreneur ecosystem. And Aaron, share a little bit. You guys have been busy having workshops, and have another one coming up next week, and would love to hear a little bit about what's going on the entrepreneur end.
Dean, thank you very much. You're exactly right. We have not slowed down one bit, working extra hard to prepare our support providers, the people who work with entrepreneurs, to have the gumption and the wherewithal, as well as additional knowledge they need to be even better support providers. But we usually meet quarterly. This particular quarter, we broke that meeting into 2 and had our first one in June. And we have started a new series on somewhat best practices. And we started those best practices looking at the 3 issues that companies had that kept them from succeeding, or if they did it well, it made them more successful in the changes that we've had because of COVID. So we started with your digital presence, and had Jonathan Eyrich with Main Street Lawrence, and Amanda Munyon with the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce talk about how they are working with their businesses to do digital audits, and then identify the gaps that the businesses have, so that they can get their information out to the consumers, to their customers very, very quickly. Because as we all know, we're all getting our information online these days. So we did that in June. It was probably one of the best we've ever had. We had Earl Grigorich, who is the area director for the Small Business Development Center in Greenville, talking about financial statements. And he's not talking about how to put a financial statement together. He's talking about what was the real problem, and that was that people did not have financial statements when they went to the banks to get PPP loans or EIDL loans. They do their numbers once a year when they do their taxes. Well, this all came about generally before tax time. So a lot of companies were completely unprepared. So we're going to talk about, or begin the conversation, which will be a very long conversation, on how to get our business owners in the habit of regularly putting together, if nothing else, a profit and loss statement, so that they can have those statements every single month. Again, a very long conversation, but Earl is going to kick it off, and hopefully 5 years from now, we're looking really good with our businesses. After that, we're going to talk about, we will in August look at what some of our local communities are doing to help their businesses become more resilient, and generally that is through the connectivity of the businesses within each other. And then we'll be looking at additional best practices throughout the rest of the fall. But Dean, were you going to say something?
No, I just wanted to confirm then the session with Earl is next Wednesday, right? The 22nd
Yes.
at 11 a.m. And
Correct.
It's open to anyone. Sharon, maybe you or Justine can put the link in to the chat so folks can register if they're interested. But these sessions are open and available for anyone, right, Erin?
Oh yes, absolutely. And we all on this, I know, touch business owners. So anything that we can do to talk to them about prompting them to get their business statements, their financial statements done is pretty fundamental. So we are also working on another series, which is we're calling our Start to Grow, connecting your business to the resources it needs. And those are going to be very short informational videos that will be available. Hopefully people can search for, how do I find someone who can help me with accounting? How can I find someone who can help me figure out how to get equity funding? So that when people search online in our upstate area for resources, there will be something that will actually come up, because we have found that things don't come up except for generally SBA or something. So we're working on trying to fill some of that gap of awareness of what the resources are.
Great. Well, thank you, Erin. Sharon, I will turn over to you, Sharon Purvis, and you can walk us through our county updates.
Hi. Yeah, before I do that, I just want to say that I put in the comments, Earl Grigorich was our other guest post writer this week, and he wrote about the importance of financial documents, just a little bit of an article for us. So that link is in the chat as well, if you're interested in reading that. First up in our county updates, representing both Abbeville and Greenwood counties, we have Maricel Losa, who's the executive director of the United Way, that represents both Greenwood and Abbeville. So Maricel.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. And thank you everyone for allowing me to be here today to give you an update on what we're doing. There's a lot happening on our side. Here in Greenwood, we've been blessed with the ability to work with our community and our surrounding communities, both Abbeville and also McCormick. We applied for some funding for food through the 1SC fund, and we were blessed with an award of $60,000 that went to 13 different agencies throughout our communities to help provide the funds necessary for those folks to provide food to folks that had been impacted by COVID, with the understanding that there are continued challenges and we need to not only look at current needs, but also where we're going to be in terms of food insecurities in a month, in 2 months, in 6 months. So with that, we have pulled together and we are starting a Lakeland's Food and Hunger Alliance group coming together to chat about where everyone is. First and foremost, a meet and greet, because what we discovered when we started doing research on some of the food insecurity and the needs of folks was that the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. And so we discovered that there were areas that were getting duplicative services and other areas that weren't getting any at all. So in an effort to respond to that, again, we pulled together this alliance. This alliance will allow for the necessary conversations, looking at challenges and identifying opportunities, and then working on an emergency response plan for future, working with our local government to make sure that we have one in place, not just for COVID, but for any other emergency that may come down the pike. So we're really excited about that opportunity and that those fundings came through. We were able to get those out to the different areas and surrounding counties. In addition to that, we have certainly, like everyone else, have our major concerns with COVID, and the issue of masks and the issues of testing have been at the forefront of all of our community conversations on every level. We here at United Way did receive a wonderful amount of masks for those that are interested in acquiring one. We make them available. We ourselves are closed and working remotely, and our facility is closed to the public, but we are working behind the scenes and looking at ways and opportunities to, again, respond to the needs of our communities. In addition to that, we've also, we had already been working on some technology that we wanted to launch before this crisis occurred, and it was very, very good timing because one of the platforms we had been working on was a mental health and well-being platform, and we launched that platform back in April, just as the virus was just really starting to hit us. And so we launched it. It's called Greenwood Credible Mind, and you can Google www.greenwoodcrediblemindcom. And what it is a platform that houses evidence-based mental health and well-being media and information. It has been vetted through top experts, and the timing couldn't be any better because most of the work right now that's on the forefront of that site is connected to how to maintain sanity during COVID, during quarantine, and what are some of the things that you can do to improve and maintain your well-being during that time. I encourage everyone to take a moment and look at the site. It's also available through our website. And again, it provides TED Talks, YouTube videos, everything from meditation to mindfulness to actual mental health concerns. So take a look at it if you have a chance and share it. Please share it with your partners. In addition to that, we continue to do some very extensive work at looking at how do we bring our communities together and enhance some of the necessary community conversations, given everything from obviously the virus to protests and the challenges with racism and equity to just the need for assistance in rural counties. So there's so many different layers of work that's going on at the same time. But one of the great things that has occurred is that as a result of all of this, we have now soft launched another platform that we're putting out called Greenwood Counts. Greenwood Counts is going to be launched, and we will be sending out messaging to everyone, and certainly we'll share it with 10 at the top. Greenwood Counts is a data platform that currently will house data for Greenwood County, but our funders, which are a couple which are more than just Greenwood, we actually have our hospital, which is one of our funders, and has a regional interest, hopes to grow this site for all the 7 counties that they provide services for. But the data platform provides the data necessary and the indicators for us to make data-driven decisions as we move forward, trying to plan programs, trying to plan initiatives and ways to improve the well-being of our communities. It covers 8 different sectors and looks at a much broader aspect of of decision making, so that it is not any one given area. It is a combination of areas. In addition to that, we are also working on a multi-sectoral partnership to complement that data platform. The data drives the conversations that need to take place with the partnership. And this model, which is a collective impact model, is a model that is right now under the microscope of Robert Wood Johnson, as we were the recipients of a DASH award, which is a data across health sectors, with health being the health of a community, not necessarily just health care. So we've got a lot going on over here. We are under the microscope, like I said, of some of the major funders in the nation, and really looking at ways that we can get our arms around what needs to get done and how we can plan effectively, strategically, and move this community forward. And I'm open to any questions.
Thanks so much, Marisol. I think if people want to put questions in the comments in the chat, and we can shoot them out to her later, we're going to move along. And by the way, I do want to say I sat in on the virtual meeting with the launch of that Greenwood Counts platform, and it is pretty cool. So I'm excited to see when that gets going, and that'll be a really valuable asset to the Greenwood community. We have on the schedule, it says that Teresa from Cherokee is going to go next, but she just texted me she's still there interviewing for a bookkeeper over there in the county. So Todd Horn is going to go next from Spartanburg. He's with Clayton Construction, but he also is going to be representing the chamber.
Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to share some of the exciting things coming out of Spartanburg. For those of you who do not know, we've created a task force called Bringing Back the Berg. It's a robust group of people around the community that have come together to really come up with some strategies that we can use in our community to come back out of COVID. So a couple of exciting stats that I'll share from that group. One is we set a goal for a small business fund to help support some of the small businesses coming out of this, and set a goal at $500,000. And we were able to raise, we announced, I think it was last week or week before last, that we've raised $538,000 without even taking that campaign public. So some really good contributions from this community, and really folks just supporting small businesses. We've had 76 businesses already apply to receive that funding, and we're earmarking 55% of that money to go to low to moderate income businesses. So a lot of money coming in to help small businesses here in our community. Another thing we've done is we've partnered with Spartanburg Regional Healthcare Systems to create what's called Commitment to Combat COVID. We've had 126 businesses in our community sign up for that. When you sign up, we make sure that we support those businesses with masks and hand sanitizer at no charge. And then we send them a sign that they're able to put on their door to say that they're going to do all the things necessary to combat COVID. 31 active economic development projects right now, which is excellent considering how our economy is looking right now. I mean, most of those projects can continue to be industrial, but some exciting multifamily projects happening around the city. And for those of you who don't know, Catherine O'Neill, who was our old county administrator, has come into the economic development role for the county and has actually brought Nancy Wentworth over, who was with the city of Greenville to help on some of the city economic development projects. And those two together have just done an incredible job and just continue to amaze me, the opportunities that they're able to bring in even during this COVID. Couple last things I'll share. These came out yesterday, and this even shocked me. I couldn't believe this, but Alan Smith sent this out to our executive board at the chamber. So June 2020 H-tax revenues in Spartanburg were higher than June 2019. June 2020 sales tax collections were higher than any month in 2019 or 2020 in Spartanburg. And June 2020 building permits were higher than June 2019. So I guess with those numbers, it's just really shocking to see right in the thick of this pandemic that Spartanburg has continued to thrive with tax revenues, sales tax and building permits. So that's certainly encouraging news coming out of Spartanburg. So for additional information, feel free. The Chamber's got a website that you can go to, and there's a link now for bringing back the Berg, and you can see some of the things that we continue to work on as a unit and a task force to bring this community back. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, we've been contributing to the sales tax and the hospitality tax with all the takeout we've been ordering in Spartanburg.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Next up, I still don't have Teresa on, but we're going to go to Rita Drinkwine from Union County. She's the executive director of the library system in Union. And if you did not see, I'll put up her last week's post about the libraries in Spartanburg and Union. We had Rita, and then Susan from the Spartanburg Library also joined her in that. But Rita, if you will tell us what's going on in Union.
I will certainly try. I'm mostly going to talk about the stuff that I know of on the library end that we're involved with. So hopefully I get a lot of the stuff that's happening. As you guys know, the census is happening. The library is chair of the Complete Count Committee for Union. We have parts of the county that are doing pretty well on census response, and then our municipalities like Lockhart, Carlisle, and Jonesville are a little bit behind. And so one of the big things we're working on right now is several events to encourage census participation in each of those locations. Another project we're working on is a project to end period poverty. So we're working on that here in Union. We work with the AmeriCorps Vista program with United Way of the Piedmont. And one of our Vistas headed up that effort as her major project, community project for the Vista program. And we actually just received a donation today of like 8 large boxes. And so we're really excited to be able to help address that need here in Union. We're also partnered with United Way, the Union Medical Center, and a lot of other places on a back to school drive. We did this last year. Dollar General did a tremendous job last year donating school supplies. And our school drive, we give the supplies directly to the school district, and then they distribute them based on need. We also, we have AmeriCorps Financial Stability Navigators, and they're working on getting food into Union as part of the program with USDA, and working with Food Share and Ruth's Gleaning. And so they're looking at distributing about 800 boxes of produce here in Union in the next week. She started out a month ago at 20 boxes and then went up to 90. And now she was like, hey, we're going to do 800. So we're really glad to see that that's going to help. Addressing basic needs is something that we've really been focused on here. Certainly for Union, it's really important to get connected with resources because the resources are a little bit more spread out. There's fewer of them. And so making sure that we're really getting everybody connected to needs. Another big conversation that's happening here in Union that I know is happening elsewhere is broadband expansion. And so we are working with the county on plans to leverage the library to expand broadband infrastructure. We started this in 2019 when we added locations in Carlisle, Jonesville, and Lockhart with the municipalities. And as part of that, we were able to, like, one of the big successes of that is that this internet is fiber internet, 100 megabytes per second. It meets the education standards. And for communities like Carlisle, they actually did not have that infrastructure in their community at all. And so being able to bring in the infrastructure means that it can then be leveraged for economic development, and it can also be used for residential purposes, so that once there is that infrastructure, then people in the community now have access to something that was not previously there. And we're able to do it at almost no cost to the county or the municipalities. And so we are looking at where we're going to continue to expand. One of the sites that we are working on right now is actually with the Union County Detention Center. They've been working very hard on building an education and medical facility there. with grant money. And so we're going to be able to come in and help put in technology to be able to do training for returning citizens to make sure that they're able to successfully re-enter. And then I know that another conversation happening right now, because COVID is the new normal, I know the county is now looking at how we adjust programs like recreational programs to be able to provide safe, free activities in our county. I know that the Spartanburg Library did an outdoor movie, like a drive-in movie. And I think that Union is hopefully going to be able to do some stuff like that and some other programs that keep in mind that there is COVID, but ensures that everybody still has a healthy and high quality of life.
All right, I'm trying to mute myself. Oh, I wasn't muted. Thank you, Rita. And I just put in the comments the article from last week with you and Susan. So lots of great stuff going on at the libraries that people probably are unaware of. And one of the things I did not know that the Spartanburg has a nurse practitioner there at the library that's available. So
yeah, we work with the College of Social Work and the South Carolina Office of Rural Health, and we do advanced field placement with social work interns here at the library to do case management.
Oh wow, very cool. Okay, Teresa has joined us now. So last but not least, we have Teresa Spires, who is with No2 in Cherokee County, which is their educational initiative that's countywide. So Teresa,
hi,
share.
I'm sorry I'm late. We're
okay.
hiring a new bookkeeper, so I had an interview. So we have a lot of stuff going on. One of the things we're working on this summer is keeping students and parents engaged in education, and we're looking at how do we, if the schools are going to be virtual, since 40% of our county doesn't have broadband access, how do we ensure that children have access to what they need? And so we're working as the physical agent actually for, or fiscal agent for another nonprofit that's working on a project that will create hotspots and tutoring centers at churches throughout the county. We're also looking at broadband expansion. We've had some conversations around that, and we're working on an expansion of our business generator downtown, the Begin project. That expansion is under construction. And of course, we're working with the census. We have a complete count committee here in Cherokee County that we're still working to figure out ways to get people to complete their census. And we must be doing a halfway decent job because we're like number 11 in the state. Unfortunately, South Carolina is like 46th out of 50 states. So we could all do better. And then we are working on, we have recently finished a community indicators update, and we are working on ways to get that rolled out to the public. We also have some new public health data on the county that we commissioned through the Metropolitan Studies Institute at USC Upstate. So that's kind of what we're doing right now.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Teresa. I'm glad you were able to join us, and hope you find a good candidate for your bookkeeping position. All right, Dean, or David, turn it back to David to adjourn us.
Absolutely, happy to do that. I'll start with some thank yous and then a couple of reminders to close us out. I do want to thank Dean and Sharon, Justine, Erica for their work on making this event possible. It's been fantastic over the last 3+ months, and I know we're all grateful for that. I also want to thank Jeff Brown with Greenville Drive for agreeing to speak to us, and remind you guys, take a look at his guest column, his post on our weekly newsletter. And then maybe just one quick reminder and thank you to our sponsors. The reminder is, if you find yourself in a position to patronize or support the businesses that you see featured as sponsors, we hope you'll do that. Closing out with the reminders, the next TATT chat is July 30th. That's going to be Sarah Hazard with the South Carolina Manufacturers Association. We hope she's going to be talking about all the reshoring that's occurring here in South Carolina. And then after that, on August 13th, I believe, Sam Conduras with SC Bio will be our guest speaker. So Some really good, timely, and important organizations represented in these TATT chats. So thanks again to those who are lining those up. That's a really good set of agendas there for us to look forward to. If there's nothing more, I'm gonna close everybody out by asking you to hope that you're safe and careful, and look forward to seeing you guys, if not in 2 weeks, sooner. So thanks everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, David.